We begin with information about what's happening in the world. A Russian satellite called the Lush Reconnaissance Satellite, which was launched in 2014 before. Well then, the intelligence from Russia, a report, a spy satellite, basically for monitoring foreign space systems, or let's say it's a satellite that spies on other satellites, among other things, was apparently destroyed, well, apparently by accident, after colliding with space debris. Yes, there are so many things up there in space that it ended up being destroyed. And well, also thanks to Novak's stat for that. Well, it's the first time we've set a goal here in the chat, right? Where, well, for 5 minutes, I'm gonna bring the cap, I'm gonna wear a cap thanks to Novak's dad. Great. Well, let's move on to other things. Let's go to the news about what's happening in the world. After all, it's been a really interesting day, especially considering that it's a weekend with a lot of expectations about what's happening in many areas. But let's take a look at some of the most interesting images of today. This image that has been shown, just like that time when there were attacks from Iran towards Israel. Like when they have also been doing exercises, you can see movements, you can see things that have been happening, and right now they are being remembered. Are the Iranians bringing back these videos to say be careful? Because if there is a war, we also have a way to respond? They've been using this rhetoric all day long. Let's talk about what's happening in this supposed negotiation, which seems to be taking shape despite the pressure. Another curious situation is the image of Kim Jong-un picking up a shovel and throwing pieces of dirt around. Well, even there, as if he was going to plant a tree, a pretty big tree. He had the girl try it, including his daughter. See her there, throwing dirt, right? Now you can literally see Kim Jong-un working. These are the types of images North Korean propaganda often uses, especially given the situation, images that grab attention. The United States ambassador in Cuba keeps getting harassed, people keep surrounding him, they keep sending people to shout things at him, so why this pressure, why is this happening? These things don't happen by chance, especially in Cuba. This kind of thing is a way of acting, a way of operating by the Cuban government. And so wherever the ambassador shows up, they start sending people to yell at him. Well, there's an explanation for this. Once you understand what the ambassador is doing, you realize, oh, he doesn't like these things. Cuba dislikes this way of handling information. Just look at the Cuban ambassador. What he did was go around the neighborhoods. The Cuban ambassador had been appearing for some time. Let's see if we can show some images of him and hear his comments on the matter. Look.
I'm from Avila and still traveling the island. Hello, good afternoon, hello, good afternoon.
Hello, how are you, sir? Nice to meet you.
Are you the one who sent us the email?
Yes, I invited you to come to my house and well, you go to different neighborhoods and start talking to people. You ask them how they are and well, people are just without electricity, right? I'd say, I'd invite you for coffee, but there's no electricity for the coffee maker. That's how it is in some places. They complain to the Cuban ambassador and this obviously must have really bothered Diaz-Canel. Because on one hand, the Cubans are there talking about their situation, right? Obviously, talking about the situation they live in, this topic is clearly making an impact. And now it's clear why. The overreaction from the Cuban regime, which is trying to put pressure on the ambassador of that country from the United States. Well, even the way they handle things is very subtle in the sense that, let's say, they don't do anything. It's not a direct criticism of the regime. If at some point one of them says, well, yes, a change is needed, right? That's the point, maybe the harshest thing. Let's say it was mentioned, but obviously it's an issue that has attracted a lot of attention. In these images, another issue that, well, is part of today's images is what's been happening over there in this. It's at Guatemala's Fuego Volcano, where significant activity has been reported. What's happening there, and how has the situation developed? There's a volcano that remains active. Here are more images of these explosions. This is what Conrad is saying over there.
Exactly. According to Conrad, moderate and strong explosions have been recorded. And because of the wind direction, it has generated ash more or less up to 25 kilometers around the crater of this volcano, with possible ashfall, specifically in San Juan Alotenan.
Let's address another key issue. Look at what happens in this one. This is a conversation that would have taken place between the National Security Advisor of Slovakia, the same Jeffrey Einstein.
They already fired him?
They already fired him. This is one of the first effects, let's say, of the Einstein case in this situation, where it shows, well, a conversation in which they're basically talking about some girls who like swimming, who are under 30 years old while he's over 50 years old, and kind of making fun of the fact that he's much older maybe. I mean, joking about the idea that maybe they'll swim better than him. Very bizarre and strange, obviously.
Yes, it has a double meaning. The other person left out was the United Kingdom's ambassador to the United States. He had already been fired, of course, but today he also leaves the party, which is the Labour Party, so as not to further damage the image of this party. After even more information has come out, like that money that Epstein deposited to her husband, which is pretty strange because why would he be giving him money? Supposedly for some courses, it's a very strange situation. Because you say, hey, these aren't blue-collar workers, these are people who are already at a pretty high level, like being an ambassador.
Let's see if it's serious. Look, this is an image of the percentage of alcohol that young people drink in 2025. Here we're looking at the one for 2026 first. Let's see if we can show the full image. This is the full image. And notice how the consumption of alcohol among the youngest has decreased dramatically. It's a trend that's not only happening in Mexico, this trend has been observed worldwide. And it's that they're not as interested in alcohol, and well, obviously it's an interesting topic, a topic that also involves advertising. Lately, if you notice, there's been a lot of focus on trying to convince them to drink alcohol because it's really impressive. For example, the case of Coahuila, the state that's basically the center of the universe in this state. Look, here it is. 14% of, let's say, young people who used to drink at least once a month, well, now the same young people, only 5.4% drink once a month. So that's a decrease.
And if you compared it to the 90s, I think the change would look exaggerated.
I think so. In the 90s, it would still be at least double or triple, much more. They've told me about it, you know?
In 2000, not in your 90s.
They've told me about it. I don't know anything about those things. But let's move on to other important matters about what's happening in the world. Impressive. This place in the world, not where it happens, but where it is. What's the name of this red-colored sea? This is due to the effect of iron, the iron element that is present in that region.
In Hormuz, the small disputed island between Saudi Arabia and Iran, you can see red water.
The Strait of Hormuz.
Famous Hormuz, yes.
The famous Strait of Hormuz.
And here are some little beaches, well, one of those little beaches.
And interestingly, many believe that something could happen there. I mean, in that area, it could cause one of the worst chaos in the world. In fact, well, when people talk about the famous world wars and all that, the Strait of Hormuz is one of the first places they say could be a trigger. Right? Interestingly, the color red.
So the topic of iron.
The rust. Iron oxide, which is what creates this color. And as they say, it's not toxic or anything. It just creates a color.
It must be good for curing some things, surely.
Well, there, if not there, I don't know.
There, I don't know. I think maybe there, yes.
I'm not sure, but it's always interesting. They say I'm there.
Maybe.
Impressive image, really. Anyway, let's move on to other important matters. What's happening in the world? Well, there are a series of reports of hurricane force winds expected today in different parts of the United States. I call them hurricane force because they truly are. We're talking about a Category 2 hurricane level. I mean, that's the level the winds could reach today. If we look at this area, well, you can see. That's why they call it a bomb cyclone, right? I mean, because this is something that could reach a speed of that magnitude, obviously, well, let's see, at least for me. Right now, it's very close to a Category 1 in terms of speed, right? It's 120 kilometers per hour, and the gusts reach up to 112, which I think is the highest I've found so far. But if it goes above 120, it would already be a Category 1. And if it goes even higher, if it reaches Category 2, it would be something really serious. What's going on? How's the situation?
Well, according to reports, what's happening right now is this bomb cyclone, as you mentioned, with a very intense intensification, producing very, very gusty winds in the midst of moderate to heavy snowfall. In what is the eastern part of North Carolina today since the morning, and it's an analysis that will also extend until tomorrow. This intense cyclone will begin to move away along the mid-Atlantic coast and will allow the snowfall to gradually decrease. Tomorrow morning there will still be a little left, but it will already be saying goodbye to you.
Great, so it's on its way out, the phenomenon is ending, which is important. But this cold isn't going anywhere. The news is that, well, yes, the wind is leaving the wind, but as they say, even the wind is afraid and it has nothing to do with it.
But Juarez, no.
Not to Juarez, right? Everything's mixed up. We're fine.
We're stumbling.
We're stumbling a bit from being tipsy and taking cover.
And that's not just rambling anymore.
We don't even know what's happening anymore. Are we going crazy? I'll explain why it's making us feel this way. It's because of AIS. I mean, it's because of Trump and because of AIS. I mean, look, what I mean is, look at this. This is just too crazy. But, well, do you remember the Spider-Man meme? Of course. See if you can send it to me so I can put it here because that should be our background from now on. Yeah, let's see. The two federal immigration agents who shot at protesters in Minneapolis like Alex Pretty have been identified according to the latest data because they've been investigating. Different media outlets have identified two officers, supposedly not, an individual named Jesus Ochoa, like the actor, and also another one named Raimundo. Here I have it, let's see, Jesus Ochoa and the other one, Raimundo Gutierrez, both Latinos, obviously. Let's see. So you're telling me that there's an order from Donald Trump, a very targeted order, and he's criticized for being very racist? This whole order? So let's see. Is it an order focused on targeting Latinos? But are Latinos really the ones carrying out the attack? And they don't do it against Latinos, but specifically against some white people. I mean, against white American citizens. So it's an order from Trump with, well, clearly some racist intentions. It's not against the Latino community, but it's the Latinos who carry out the order. And it's not against these Latinos, but against these white guys who are defending the Latinos. You say, I mean, it's crazy. Obviously, they also attack Latinos attacking Latinos. It's crazy. This doesn't make absolutely any sense what's happening. And suddenly you ask yourself, I mean, where is all this madness heading? There's no logic anymore, honestly. And let's leave it at that. Let's go to the news.
But back there, yes?
That's how we did the news all day, like that. That's going to be today's image. I mean, if you talk about Iran, it's like the case of this one. This situation where they reveal in the Einstein documents that Trump was at a party with people from the Sinaloa cartel. I mean, what?
If they say he worked indirectly with the cartel, well, no, I mean,
That he's supposed to be the one who says he's against the cartels and all that. And now we're back to the same meme again. This meme is basic. Do you want to know the universe's truth? There it is, but it's not 21. The truth of the universe isn't 43, it's not that either. Well, this isn't it. Everything leads to the same point, and it's a circle. What is this? You have to get out of it somehow, because if it's there, this is really crazy. But anyway, in the meantime, to make things even weirder, it's raining iguanas in Florida. We're back to talking about the weather again. I'm telling you, this is a cycle. We're back to the weather, and meanwhile, they're loading up over there. If they're not there and he's not in Argentina, greetings to Cardan and those in Florida. Is it raining there? Maybe that's why.
exactly. It's due to the low temperatures we've mentioned for days now, with some even hitting 0 degrees Celsius in southern Florida. Well, they literally started to fall, dozens of green iguanas falling from the trees, and they were found motionless in yards and on roads. And well, this phenomenon is linked.
Phenomenon, just get it over with.
Extreme weather obviously causes a lot of alarm for people who aren't used to it. Seeing these animals fall, well, this is what the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission says. They're currently running a campaign to collect and exceptionally authorize the handling and relocation of animals under a special protocol. Or are they the ones picking them up? But they're also telling people that just this once they can pick them up and put them, let's say, to the side, because legally you can't do that.
You're not allowed to touch them.
Right, but right now they're untouchable.
Migrants, though, can be treated very harshly. That's part of it. So you go along with the craziness. Here we're going to change the name too, like that. The channel is now going to be called Nonsense. Let's call it that. Look, let's move on to other topics, because if not, this topic just gets crazier.
By the way,
there's only one way to make lime.
Iguanas are beheaded?
Come on, we want crazy things now, please. I thought they survived. They go like this literally and they get this shock. It's like that, but I don't know what they inject them with. They inject them.
Yeah, the most.
It's intense. Friends from Florida, be careful not to be under a tree because an iguana might fall on you. But isn't it worse to be up there? It could be slippery. You might step on an iguana and fall. That's even worse. If you're below, one might fall on you. But if you're up there and you fall yourself, and the part that's the same is even worse. But anyway, let's move on to other topics. Let's not. Well, yeah. Check it out, the gold rush is already starting. Not the parrot fever, not the bird, but gold, but white gold. This is in the United States because according to reports, a significant amount of lithium was discovered. We're discussing potential trillions in profits, though this is still under investigation. It's not something that they're just going to, quit their jobs, right? But those who have the possibility of owning land where there's gold, silver, or lithium could become millionaires. Because sometimes they say they'll sell or rent it, often renting it so a company can extract lithium. And then, yes, they get paid a percentage of the profit, right? As part of the rent, a percentage of the profit. The thing is that right now, scientists from the United States Geological Survey have confirmed the presence of at least what they believe 19 million tons of lithium. These would be dissolved in the Smackover Formation, a gigantic underground layer of limestone in southern Arkansas in the United States. If this is the case, it could be that this is not the only area that has this type of material element. So let's go to the state of Arkansas. Let's see if we can. Here it is. It's actually in the south, near Texas. Someone out there watching might own land, perhaps a ranch. Imagine owning property in this area.
A large property?
Yeah, a property. If you have a large property out there, maybe you should check. Now I'm sure they'll report it. This would be one of the biggest discoveries of this type of mineral in history, at least in the United States.
Exactly. This risk could create over $2.3 trillion in wealth, yes?
Here it would be trillions, actually, in the United States version.
In the United States, it's trillions, but for those of us who use proper numbers, it's millions. It doesn't make sense, but anyway, making it the biggest mineral discovery.
Don't say that when.
China now controls 70% of global lithium, and this reserve would allow the United States to completely eliminate its dependence on China for this resource. Now, minerals or rare earths would also be another part they would have to work on, because this is mostly about lithium.
And well, within this topic, I mean, if this development is going to happen, then you would also depend less, in this case, on China and other countries that have lithium. Chile over there, Bolivia is the one that's supposed to have a lot of lithium.
Yes, they mentioned the lithium triangle.
Yes, they do get a fever. I mean, they do get a fever. I remember that Evo Morales got sick because of that. I mean, really from there, that's when I started to notice it. I don't know, maybe it's just a coincidence. But ever since people started talking a lot about lithium and they started doing the math and talking about it, right now nobody knows where he is. Some say he's here in Mexico, but nobody really knows where he is. Evo Morales. But it seems he lost his way. The thing is, that's also a real phenomenon. The one that gives them, well, I don't know if it's a fever in their head or if they just feel hot, but they do go a little crazy all of a sudden. When they think they're going to make that kind of wealth,
they let ambition take over.
Exactly, right? And that's why it happened a lot when people went to mine gold in the United States and all that happened. They would go crazy. Yeah, they would really go crazy about that. I don't remember if it was Australia or somewhere around there. There are a couple more countries that also have potential. On the lithium issue, they say it's not that other places lack lithium, but rather that there's a lack of research in Mexico and Coahuila. No, not here in Seguyo. It's in Chihuahua. Now over here, I mean towards the
Yes. Where the family incident with the fight happened.
Stopping by those areas, Sonora, Chihuahua, Sinaloa, all of them, there must be something about this topic there. By the way, let me make a side note. The issue of how cartel groups and groups like that are managed. It's always been said, and well, here in Nuevo Leon, it's always been mentioned, at least, that these groups are also, let's say, moved or managed by people higher up. We're not going to say politicians, businessmen, I don't know who. It's like to heat up areas and make people start selling land. Look, the area right now that's the most expensive, the one that's growing the most, is the whole area along the National Highway. Here in Monterrey, yes, but that area was the one that got hit the hardest. All this drug war stuff started over there. Calderon, I mean, at that time, around 2007, it got terrible, really bad, to the point that nobody wanted the National Highway area anymore. We have a friend who literally had someone try to take his truck. And it wasn't even a new one, just a small truck that was like 15 or 20 years old. I mean, it wasn't anything special, but they still tried to take it from him. When they opened the door on him with guns, he hit the gas and dragged one of the Varonchilos guys about 150 meters. But a lot of friends and acquaintances had really tough situations on the National Highway. Right now, it's an area where everyone sold, a lot of people sold back then, and now it's full of shopping centers, movie theaters, hotels, hospitals. You wouldn't even realize it's a luxury area. It's basically the new San Pedro. San Pedro is already packed with houses and is small, so now everyone's moving there. So you say, I mean, obviously these are conspiracy theories, but sometimes you just think it kind of makes sense to me. Suddenly, coincidentally, areas where property values are always rising start to heat up, whether it's because of minerals or whatever. But suddenly it seems like there's a pattern when you look at it from that point of view. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Not sure what you all think, but let's move on to other important topics. They say there's this video that's coming out in which, well, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria is still being identified as the group behind the attacks. Look, we still haven't caught up. The news also overwhelms you with the amount of things that happen and you want to comment on all of them, but suddenly you can't. That's why you see us so rushed with so much news. Why? It's not that we want more. I mean, we're not a channel that, well, obviously we want views. Of course, every channel wants views. But there are two types of channels. The channel that's only obsessed with views and the channels that, well, are also obsessed with informing. Our main focus is informing, but we're also concerned with views. What do I mean? You see channels focused on one topic. They're obsessed with views because that's what gets the most. Do you want lots of views? Just focus on one thing like Trump or a couple topics and you end up repeating yourself. Iran, Venezuela, over and over, they stick to the same topic until something else trends. What does that mean? Well, it means they prefer to generate as many views as possible and they don't care if that actually informs people. In our case, maybe even against having more views and against our own interests, against the sustainability of the channel. In the long run, I think the community will appreciate that. I hope that we're really bringing you information from even the smallest corners, and even then we still miss some things. We try to highlight events in Sudan, Mozambique, and beyond, not just the top trending stories. Obviously, we always try to put the most interesting or trending story on the front page, of course, but we try to talk about everything. And among those things, what's happening in Niger is a huge issue, and I think everyone in the world should pay attention to it. I mean, look, everyone talks about what's happening in Gaza, and it was terrible. We've repeatedly discussed the dramatic situations civilians in Gaza faced and covered it thoroughly here. Yes, but what surprises me is that now there are, if not thousands, maybe hundreds or even thousands. Well, actually, it's literally millions, but hundreds of thousands who have been in trouble, and thousands who have already been either kidnapped or attacked, from Christian communities in Niger. And where is the media talking about this? Where are those activists who come out and defend? Let's see. Okay, that's it. The Gaza issue has calmed down. Okay, that's good. But why don't they talk about Niger? And why don't they talk about so many other issues, right? I mean, why only talk about what's trending? I insist because they're obsessed. Only with following trends, with being in fashion. I mean, they're not really interested in what they're doing. In the case of Niger, it's an incredible issue and there's basically a constant ongoing attack both in Nigeria and Niger against Christian communities, and it doesn't stop. And there's a specific group that's focused on that's basically attacking constantly. One of those groups is Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, which released a video confirming that they are behind last week's attack at the Diori Hamani International Airport in Niger. They still operate against these communities.
Right. Today a video went viral. Not in Niger, but in Nigeria. Do you remember sharing it with me? It was about an American woman living there. Talking about the situation, about how these radical groups have terribly targeted Christian communities. And absolutely no one does anything about it.
Not sure if you have the video since I'll revisit it.
I'll go over it again.
So you can go over it because look, I closed it. As far as I know, I didn't publish it. I mean, it was pending for now and it's not there anymore. Because I grabbed the video blocks, I say no, I already put these up and I was missing that one. I left that one for tonight. But what he says is really intense and he explains it there. For example, in the case of Andalusia, that one, tell me, yes. I mean, why don't these videos go viral? I mean, why these comments? Why aren't these topics talked about? Let's look at this topic. And well, I say here, if you want and think it's convenient, I think it would be great for people to know about this topic. Give us a hand here and let's talk, comment, and report this situation. See what this person says.
I didn't react when Yahweh happened, even though I knew at the time. But because of the severity, how many people were killed, how many homes were burned, it was above what I could handle.
He says, Alex Barbier says that the persecution of Christians in Nigeria, that's Nigeria. Nigeria is further north, and what's happening in Nigeria is further south, he says. It's possibly worse than before. I mean, it's not changing, right? I mean, despite the pressure from the United States, despite
the attack on December 24th. He also comments on that exactly.
Besides the fact that supposedly the government there is doing something, but it's really not doing anything. In reality, it only does more when the United States puts on pressure, he says. It's possible that the situation is worse than before and that people are still being kidnapped and killed, let's say. Just a few days ago in Kaduna, 150 Christian students were taken. The main cause, he says, are the terrorists and militias. Fulani, specifically in Niger, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria group here, according to what this American says, is that it's a group called Fulani. He says, well, that he begs the United States government, he begs the international community to finally recognize the situation they are experiencing in Niger, so that something can be done immediately, so that solutions can be found for these communities, because they are trying to erase them, right? I mean, all these people who were there, sharing about genocide or whatever. Well then, why aren't they sharing this? Why aren't they talking about this topic? Is it real? It seems hypocritical to me, right? They're only becoming activists for whatever's trendy, that's it. Not because they genuinely want to be supportive or defend just causes, which I also find shocking. Anyway, let's move on. Well, what's happening in Iran? Things aren't calming down, no?
No, things aren't calming down, but it's said that soon there will be a meeting in Turkey, in Ankara, where the United States and Iran are willing to talk and mediate to try to organize the situation. They want to avoid a dispute. Although suddenly it seems like maybe Ali Khamenei, who suddenly appears and seems very confrontational and wants to fight, well, that's how it is. Despite that, there are signs of rapprochement. According to reports, the three countries, Turkey, Qatar, and Egypt, are the key mediators this time. And the United States? Donald Trump will send his usual envoys, not Steve Wynkoff, along with other officials and Iranian officials. Are they going to address the incident in the coming days, week, given the tensions that are being experienced, and to talk face to face? Trump insists that he wants to fix things through diplomacy. Today he repeated it and said, if we can't find out, we'll figure out what's next. Let's see what happens. But, well, at least today this comes out, that in Turkey I can see this meeting happening next week apparently, and, well, if everything goes well, they would reach an agreement. For its part, the United States has been strengthening air defenses in the Middle East. If Iran attacks, they won't just trust Iran to leave or do nothing. The other day, Iran issued a threat to all neighboring countries in the region, saying if there is an attack here. This will impact everyone with a United States base. They've already been warned, right?
And, well, let's see, it was interesting because starting tomorrow, there were going to be military exercises in this area, Iranian military exercises, yes, with real weapons. That's how Iran announced it. Let's see. Starting tomorrow right in the Strait of Hormuz, which is where this is happening. By the way, the sea turns red on some coasts. Just to clarify, that's where they plan to launch missiles as part of a military exercise. And the United States said, no, you can't do it here. It's not going to happen here. Go do it somewhere else because here, no. After the warning, the United States says Iran no longer plans live fire exercises in the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, this was revealed by an Iranian official who denies that there is any planning for such an exercise.
They just use the usual excuse to say no.
Me? No, I don't even remember.
Where they said...
That's the classic one.
Besides, it was a live fire exercise, which is always more stressful.
Of course.
No stopping. There was no announcement, he said. And well, he said press error.
On the other hand, the German Chancellor also assures that they will not be intimidated. So basically, Europe told the group, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, they said from now on you are considered terrorists, but no. I mean, when the European Union makes these kinds of decisions, it's not just that they say they're terrorists. No, instead they say, let's see. Here is all the evidence that shows that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, which is Ayatollah's army, are terrorists. Look, here they've been detained, here they've been caught, they've done this, they've done that, all the evidence is presented to them. So Iran, well, it's pretty straightforward. And, well, if you say that the Revolutionary Guard is a terrorist group, well, I say, so are you. And just like they're little kids, he says, what side are you on, right? So he tells him, the Iranians say then the German army, the army, I don't know what, they're also terrorists, right? Essentially, the German minister asks, so what's this about? Tell us how.
Why?
Like, why, right? I mean, where do you get that from, right? The German foreign minister, Johann Wendell Fuhl, is said to have strongly criticized this Iranian decision for designating the armies of the European Union as terrorist groups by the Ayatollah regime, a measure that comes in response to what the Europeans did. Wilcox says evidence is needed, calling this pure propaganda and unfounded. And it's just a statement without even showing at least like, well, this is why. No, it's not. I don't know what really surprises the minister, but well, obviously this situation bothers him. By the way, let's go to this one. It has more than...
We have more information from Iran. An Iranian diplomat, obviously speaking on condition of anonymity, says that Trump's conditions are unrealistic and non-negotiable. That was the comment leaked today to the Washington Post, quoting this diplomat who says that the current situation is not possible, no negotiation. Trump's negotiation conditions are unrealistic and non-negotiable. Well, this is prior to the meeting that is going to take place exactly.
Well, there's also an astonishing issue regarding what has happened with the people who were at the protests. Because, look, they arrested many people alive, but the problem is that many of those arrested alive during the protests in Iran. We have to remember that they estimate 26,000 people were detained there, but the real numbers, they say, are much higher. There are many more people detained. They talk about 40,000 detainees, but 20,000, 50,000, we don't know. I mean, there are. It is known there are tens of thousands of detainees. The problem is that many of the detainees suddenly turn up dead, without a trial or anything. They didn't get sick, they just died, got sick, died, got sick, died. I mean, it's like this systematic what's happening.
Well, this is known thanks to human rights organizations that are reporting it. Protesters who were detained in Iran and who received injections of unknown substances in these detention centers, well, they lost their lives a few days after being released on bail. On top of that, their families are charged. So, Shiva Mahboubi, spokesperson for the campaign to free political prisoners in Iran, says there are incredible recurring testimonies. A lot of people who either lost their lives or were left seriously affected. For example, there is the case of a young girl, a 16-year-old who was in a coma after receiving this injection while she was in custody. She later fell into a coma after being released when her parents paid the bail. And well, the doctors told them that she had been poisoned, meaning that was the cause of the critical condition this young girl is in. And well, Iranian prisons operate without international supervision, so basically Iran does whatever it wants there. And the families have threatened that they won't stay silent and that they will keep sharing the information they manage to get from some brave doctor who can provide it. There are no independent forensic mechanisms to investigate the real causes of death, only what the doctors tell them.
But if it's not there, it's terrible. And also,
It's not something new. It had already happened before. This was done in 2022. There were also deaths of prisoners after receiving medical treatments without justification, without explaining to the family. And, well, those people lost their lives or were left in very bad condition.
and well then, there's no possibility, at least right now, for justice. But sooner or later that justice will come. Sooner or later it will be achieved. And even more so if people keep moving, if people keep demanding change. What I suppose is that they're really gonna try to remove the Ayatollah in other ways. If the United States does nothing, I already see a strong movement growing in Iran. Maybe.
And nothing more was heard about the explosions, right?
No, after 8 explosions, I'm done reporting. Let's address the other important matters too. Before we discuss what's happening with the Chinese yuan, let me tell you what's happening in this email. that supposedly took place in 2013, where the former United States Treasury Secretary, Larry Summers, appears, according to what's reported in this email that Larry Summers sent to Einstein. Well, it says that the Vatican Bank helps the rich move money in secret since it doesn't follow the rules of the European Union. In that same email, it also states that the former president of the bank was fired during a bribery investigation. He kept 47 secret files at home and feared they'd eliminate him for knowing too much. So, even among people at the level of a treasury secretary, within their own circles, they also talk about things like conspiracies and strange stuff. The difference is they have direct information and can see how things really are, so they say, let's see. I mean, the most shocking thing about the Vatican isn't that there was a change or a resignation of the Pope at that time. We're talking about 2013, but what really caught people's attention here? What bothered and made many countries, investors, and powerful people nervous the most was that they were making a change in the Vatican Bank. It's always been known that this bank has some pretty dirty issues, and clearly these kinds of emails also reveal that situation. By the way, let's talk about what's happening with the Chinese yuan, because they claim that if China has a plan to become the new world reserve, that's what they want to bet on.
Exactly. China wants to end the dollar as the global reserve currency. Xi Jinping has just consolidated the yuan as a global reserve currency and is challenging the financial leadership of the United States. Donald Trump has contributed to the dollar's decline, prompting some to seek more stable currencies. In a speech revealed by Chishin, a theoretical magazine of the Communist Party, President Xi Jinping has asked China to turn the yuan into a global reserve currency, which implies, or would imply, directly competing with the United States dollar as the world's dominant currency. The speech, which has been published so far, is a recent publication that, it says, strategically coincides with growing international doubts about the stability of the dollar and the economic leadership of the United States. China is sending this message amid a lot of uncertainty about what is going to happen. We see a soaring dollar and silver, a dollar dropping daily, and ongoing inflation in the West. Above all, wars and a progressive weakening of trust in institutions like the International World Bank or the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication System. Xi acknowledges that although China has enormous reserves, a vast banking system, and expanding capital markets, they still don't have the global influence they seek. But that it is economically large but financially weak, according to him.
Be careful. While commenting on this, he was watching to see how things were going. This is not a correction. What's happening with gold is that it's falling, gold is dropping sharply, the market is already open. Gold has dropped for 3 straight days, and it's not a normal decline, right? If we report it and a 10% drop is considered a correction, let's say 16, that's a deep correction, 16%, but here it's not 16%. It's already almost a 19% correction in gold, or drop. I wouldn't even call it a correction anymore. Look, it hit dollar estadounidense, US dollar, $5,600 and $5,000. Now look, it's $4,600, it dropped nearly $1,000 in value. I mean, yeah. This drop is a lot, obviously almost a fifth. I mean, for something like gold to drop a fifth of its value, that's not normal. There have to be massive movements happening right now, big sell-offs. They're selling gold, they don't want it anymore, it's not working out. But I insist, it's not that it's worthless, it's just that things got exaggerated, nerves got out of hand, speculation started, and it shot up. When the situation with Iran calms down, the bond issue settles, and the situation with Japan stabilizes. We'll check how the Nikkei is doing since it's already open. It's normal, neither rising nor falling. It's moving very slowly, but not surging or dropping. We'll have to see how it develops during the day. Bitcoin is doing badly. I mean, it's dropping hard. Look, it's just a drop in Bitcoin. roughly as estimated, about 75,000, though it has already hit 74? Or is it dropping even more than what we mentioned here, even though right now it's at 76? Will it keep dropping? We don't know, so we'll have to wait. And the Chinese stock markets, well, they woke up badly today. Just look at that. I mean, even though the rise in the market is really strong, and right now it's at 1. Like a correction, but this is a correction, let's say, not as big as the one from the... It's a 2% correction, yes. I mean, it's a correction. When it drops about 2%, it looks strong, but it's just 2%. Here, the gold drop is nearly 20%, which is significant. Well, so this is... things are happening there with the markets. That... what was expected was a possible attack on Iran. Maybe that's not the case anymore. In fact, oil is going down. Oil has a huge negative gap. I mean, look, this is oil right now. After all this rise that happened, look at where the price started. Today it started down here, very low, and oil keeps going down. So basically it's going back to the normal price, to the price where it's been circulating for a long time. Let's look at the whole year where the price was throughout the year, if this is the price of oil for the whole year. I mean, there was really a ceiling here that, look, was already marked. I had marked it, that yellow line that's there. It's 1. These are ceilings that kept getting lower and lower, each time lower and lower. You can see there's a ceiling and it hasn't broken through. If it stays below and keeps dropping, oil prices will continue to fall. Trump aimed to lower it to $50. If this ceiling breaks and it goes up to 72, 74, then it has broken the trend. But right now it's the same trend that's been going on for over a year. This is the trend that started, the trend that's taking place. I'm going to tell you the date in October, September 2023, September 2023. It's been going up and down, but every time it goes up and down, it goes lower and lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. I mean, when it goes up, it's always with cheaper prices. And right now, just look at the price. This is the highest point of this whole period, yes, but it's very low. I mean, really? I mean, still? And you say, no, it's because it went up. Well, yes, but look where oil is coming from. I mean, in these years, oil is still low. And right now, if we get closer, it's already down here. The price is already here. It hit the ceiling for 2 days, and now the price is around here. So now the trend is going down again. Let's see what happens, but it's really interesting. Greetings, Marco Herrera. Greetings, Jerez. Very good, Jojo. How have you been? Greetings, Charlie. How are you? How have you been, Alex? How have you been? Very good. Greetings to Rublox. Greetings to Paterita, who's around there. To Jojo. Greetings also to Ofe Mendez. How have you been? Hey, Raphael. How have you been? Well, let's move on to another matter. Let's go to other topics. Just with the people. The Mexican president got intense in this scolding she gave to some politicians there. What is known about this? Apparently this happened in Baja California, over there. Let's see if Jerez can tell us what happened, what he knows, because he's over there on that side. This came out, I mean, it apparently happened in San Quintin, Baja California. He scolded several politicians, including local and federal legislators who hoped to greet him and take a picture. No, according to what they say there, not to be in the picture. And what could have happened? Do you want to tell us your opinion? That she acted like that? Intense, right? I mean, everyone says that's how she is, really short-tempered, right? Like that she gets mad often and all that, but she almost never lets it show. I never see it, right? I find it really curious that it's the CEL. Either the situation got out of control, or she's really upset about other things and they brought her, or what happened. I find it curious because, yeah,
But what she said, people need to work more. All of you need to work more with the people. Stop being over there and be in your own territory. Where? In the United States or in Mexico City? Yes.
I imagine I'm not in Mexico or in Congress or on vacation, right? I don't know, but if it is, it's interesting and eye-catching. It says there's a mess in the first city hall, and I'll continue. I think that's what it says. San Quintin has been blocking the road for weeks, demanding the removal of the mayor.
I mean,
there are things happening.
If we saw another video where people stop her in the car and start saying it could be good, are you going to put it?
No, tell me.
Tell me medical service, the hospital I used to go to, so they only open to give prescriptions. They don't see patients here. They have to go all the way to Ensenada for care. The situation is terrible.
But there's a man there saying that his wife lost her life in that hospital and that, well, no, not even medication. The same people say the doctors there are good, but they just lack the supplies to treat. Having the best doctor is useless without resources. If he lacks tools, materials, or anything else, then that's the situation. The president spent some time listening to all the complaints. People shouted at her today about the road and bridge, saying Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador promised something, but they don't know when.
I've stayed in a hospital with countless beds, but nothing happened.
With 120 beds, they reportedly made several proposals to her. That too.
But that's very cheap.
But really, making promises is easy, isn't it? Promising is very simple. And well, that's it. That's the thing, right? Huh? Well, as Jira says, they're making a mess, and he scolded the senators and federal deputies. That was the scolding. Okay, great. That's the thing.
They spend their time in Mexico City.
Referring to Mexico City, exactly. They have a good time there downtown, while the problems are where they were elected, right? Exactly. It's not the first time, says ADC as stated. Greetings, and well, let's move on to other things. There are matters about this gentleman every day.
And in today's news, it turns out that the United States Department of Justice has withdrawn files. They withdrew, well, not just any files, they withdrew files that mentioned Donald Trump in the second batch. I mean, the ones they just released about the Epstein case. The documents contained accusations of abuse against a 13-year-old minor, and, well, several, but the one that really caught attention, in fact, was the first one that exploded. Basically, the moment these are published, and while the alleged complaint is deleted, they write to Trump claiming he attended parties and groups with minors, along with former President Clinton and the Alexander brothers.
Oh, well, there it is. I mean, part of it, he gets along very well with Clinton at these wild parties.
Well, were they invited to his wedding, for example?
Yeah, I mean, they put on a show like they're enemies, like here with the clients, this and that. But in the end, well, that rivalry isn't really real. There are mentions of many Mexicans in the documents. For example, Salinas Pliego himself, Carlos Slim himself. Now, mentioning them doesn't necessarily mean they're involved. For example, sometimes they were mentioned in a sale, like of a house. I think it was the widow of, Azcárraga. Yes, the widow of Azcárraga. But you do realize that among certain elites, they get along quite well. And there are some very curious things, like, for example, is Chomsky's daughter there? But she was connected to this very strange sect. It's about one of those. I think it was an American who was here.
Who has them? I don't know what he gets tattooed. I don't know if it's that weird group.
Well, she mentions those topics, that she used to come to Mexico often, that I don't know what they mention about going out, and they mention Arasuba, La Saba. Mexico has many of the world's richest women. She mentions many people since everyone wants to see what's said about them.
Nexius?
Nexius the case. I mean, there are a lot of things that will need to be reviewed just a little to see who was really involved and who was just passing by.
Yes, because there are many who, for example, everything. Since yesterday, Mandani has been involved in the case, along with his mother directly, because he is too young to be involved. But it's because his mother is a filmmaker and it was a party for a movie award. And it just so happened that Bill Gates was there, Bill Clinton was there, and several other people, but it has nothing to do with it.
A lot of people are going to come up who indirectly went to a meeting or something. And me here, what I think they should focus on are those who were at parties with underage people, let's say, those who were involved in violent things. I mean, all those people's names need to be known, and today even more so. It's like we're going back to that meme, not that meme, because today Trump said it, I think he did it yesterday. But he appeared in the video today where he says he plans to sue the Einstein family. Yes, because they're causing him a lot of trouble and a lot of problems. So is he gonna sue them? Because they caused him, let's say, well, his name has been tarnished. It's been affected by everything that's happened. I mean...
So what about the writer too? The writer who carries all the
madness. I think it's there, but well, it's part of the distraction. It's part of the show. It's what he likes to do. And yes, the demand is there. Just reviewing, reading the cases and investigating, because if the Department of Justice today, well, what remains? Once the review was finished, the Einstein case review was already completed. What do you mean it was completed? Well, if you're not going to investigate all these cases, you're not even going to go and at least ask, hey, why are you here? At this party, there was minor anger. Hey, what happened? What's going to happen with former Prince Andres? Even the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom himself told him, you have to go face the United States, which he's not obligated to do. And it seems like he's not going to do it exactly.
I mean, basically, most of the people who are involved in the Epstein case, absolutely nothing is going to be done against them. Because what Blanchet says, who is the Deputy Attorney General and the one who comes out to announce the publication of these 3 million documents, there are still 5 million more missing. If I'm not mistaken, he says, well, Epstein has already lost his life. Maxwell has been sentenced to 20 years, so that's it, he says. He said he understood the victims want compensation from the Epsteins, but the prosecutor's office can't create evidence or present a non-existent case.
I mean, that's really tough.
How shameful, how
amazing. This isn't the topic, but that's how people know about this issue. Let's move on to other important topics. Meanwhile, this Bad Bunny in this event,
an edition of the Grammys?
He sent a message about that topic which I found interesting. He says, we are not savages, we are not animals, we are not extraterrestrials, we are human and we are Americans. Well, not United States citizens, we are Americans, which is different, he says. Hatred becomes stronger. That's how they worked it here, he says. Hatred becomes more powerful. The more hatred there is, the more powerful it gets. The only thing more powerful than hatred is love. So please, we need to be different out there. Bunny right now has become a character that Trump really dislikes because in the end, he's just a character. A popular singer who represents Latinos, and it really bothered him that he was going to appear at the Super Bowl. That's him.
It's next Sunday?
Next Sunday. So that's why he's not going to attend, because this Bad Bunny is going to sing. So I say, hey, well...
This is an American.
He's an American after all, I mean, but in the end too. Well, this is a very, very strange time because many people, rappers, singers, don't want to talk about the subject. Actually, they send supportive messages to Trump on Twitter and social media because they know it benefits them with taxes and support. Many choose that path, let's say, to avoid criticism or even to support him. They know there's a gain there despite the situations that are happening. Exactly. Well, let's move on to another important topic. Let's go to the comments. How has it been? Greetings to the whole community. Very good. Mercedes, how are we doing? Thank you for your support, Mercedes. We send a big greeting to you and the community as well. That's great. Down below in the description, you'll find ways to support us. But can you support us like Papa de Loba did at the beginning? Through your donation, through a membership, or also through OXXO or PayPal? There are several ways to support this informative channel. Thanks to those who do it, and we send a big greeting, right? Very good. Greetings.
How are you? Well, I'm not Bad Bunny, just saying. We don't like his music, but his message seems very important to me no matter what genre he plays. What matters is that it's important not to create more hate because that hate just ends up consuming the person and also starts to generate violent attitudes. Also, on the other side,
That, and well, in the end, this is a moment when right now a lot of people don't dare to speak. Because many times there are consequences against them too. I mean, against singers, artists who then suddenly can't participate in certain events anymore because they're being blocked. They start having problems and so on. So, also, well...
Yes, because, for example, last year the Oscars were super quiet. On political topics, there were hardly any opinions, even though I know that artists aren't necessarily a political flag, right? But sometimes, if it's needed, they should give their opinion. It's interesting to see the topic discussed again, since it sometimes feels like it's avoided.
Yes, it scares me. Yes, well, greetings to the state. Very good. Roble, how are you today, Roble? What do you think about the topic of Cuba? To those watching from there, how do you view this situation and what are people saying? Hello to Julio Benavides. I say what I can, knowing you may not always be able to talk. Greetings to Julio Benavides. Greetings, very good.
Says Mercedes, if you ever go to Tijuana, I'll invite you for a coffee with delicious whiskey and a croissant, a filled croissant, a croissant at the cafe. We are exactly in front of the Casa de la Cultura de Altamira. Well, for everyone who is over there in Tijuana, go visit Mercedes Cafe.
The cafe, that's what it's called?
Yes, Café Conca.
Café Conca and double. Really good. So we have to support local coffee shops, please.
A lot.
If you're in Tijuana, stop by and let them know. We saw it here and hopefully Mercedes will visit you and hopefully we'll get a chance to go over there and check out your coffee shop. That would be great. We'll have a croissant donut or something similar there.
She says a croissant.
She says it's really good.
She really craves it.
Sorry, she says, but she keeps mentioning Robbie. She says Trump will be convicted no matter his excuses or if he acts crazy. Hi Santos, how are you?
It might apply at some point.
He might eventually want to get involved, perhaps saying he doesn't have it and has dementia or something similar.
Today felt that way, even though just 24 hours ago it was different. He was supporting everything about the campaign of the one from Tijuana, from Texas. And well, in the morning they ask him, what does he think about losing? And he says, are there elections in Texas? I didn't know. I didn't even know about it. I mean, it turns out he doesn't remember what he did just the day before.
He pretends to be clueless. He acts clueless when his candidate loses. When the one he was supporting loses, well, that's how he is.
Because, well, besides, he was supporting them. And last time they lost, he said, it's because I didn't support them and that's why they lost. This time he supported them and they sank even more, he says. Roble Pepe, everything is really bad and it will get worse without fuel.
I mean, let's see. The comment says, greetings. Thank you, Roble. Well, yes, supposedly they say there are 2 months left regarding the fuel issue. Let's hope they reach an agreement soon. Supposedly here in Mexico, they are working diplomatically. The president said she will try to send gasoline again, but in agreement with the United States, so that there is at least some electricity and the situation isn't too hard for the people over there. But on the other hand, it also seems like Trump's strategy in the United States is to put pressure precisely through fuel. It's a strange situation. Let's see what happens. By the way, my son and daughter-in-law own the cafe and we just celebrated a great first year.
Very good, congratulations. And a long time ago, we were thinking about opening a cafe. Back in 2005, I remember perfectly. We went to Chicago, and here in Monterrey, the idea of a cafe where you could use your computer didn't exist. Only Samboros was around, right?
Samboros was the closest thing. There wasn't even a Starbucks.
Yes, and the internet at Samboros. It was really bad. I don't know how it is now, but back then it was really bad. We went to a cafe in Chicago where you paid for internet, got coffee, and food. It was convenient, but the internet lasted only about an hour and wasn't unlimited. In that place, people stayed for ages and we arrived eager to open one ourselves.
Yeah, we really liked the idea. And then later on, well, the city filled up with cafes, yeah, but you always keep looking for a place that's different, right? I mean, yeah, sometimes there's no other option and well, there's Tim Hortons or whatever, but sometimes, yeah. For example, we used to go for a long time to one called
Boulevard Ocho?
Boulevard Ocho. We went there for a long time. Do we recommend it? When we had a meeting with friends, we'd say, let's meet at Boulevard Ocho. Always the same place. And then we found out that our friends also started visiting the place, and we really liked that. The pandemic hit and the place went out of business. I'm not sure if that's why, but they switched to taco shops during that time.
It was mainly for takeout, so people could just stop by instead of staying, but the idea was to stay. They had board games and such. I wish...
They had board games, they had games like video games, but old ones like Atari or something like that. I mean...
Nintendo stuff, Nintendo.
The first ones and on an old television, so it's really nice. The concept was cool, and over time it was always full, it was always full, it was always full, it was cool and good, but they didn't survive. Unfortunately, that's what he says. Like even the really good ones, Jerezofe.
That puff mentions Carla Tijuana. Greetings to Peggy Monk. It talks about what Nicki Minaj did, but I disagree with her. Her tastes, but they're her tastes, and they should be respected. If she wants to support Trump, well, good for her, even though she contradicts herself in some old tweets. But anyway, greetings.
Yeah, I think that what 50 Cent says, 50 Cent, he already likes it, that they forgive him for tax stuff. He's always had problems with taxes, just like Trump. So, there are people that you think your music is supposed to be kind of anti-establishment and all that, and now it turns out you're pro-Trump? It doesn't make sense, it doesn't add up, and unfortunately sometimes you even start to dislike them, even though you used to say, hey, I liked some of your songs. But suddenly it's like, it's hard to separate the artist from their political stance, but, well, sometimes you can say they're a great artist if you forgive them a little.
But more or less, but like...
What
I liked, well, that's enough for me. Greetings, there you are, it's true. Cuba doesn't have a good outlook, says me, Robley. Cuba is just like Venezuela. Mercedes, did you read it? Greetings to Gilberto Aguillon. Wico says the trumpet is good. Vila Melon. Greetings to that Panteria. It's not for us, as they say.
He says sorry. He says greetings. Pepe says, he says idea. Regarding the politics that should prevail everywhere, today it shouldn't be about trends, but about the integrity of the government mainly. Don't steal and help your country with that.
Do you suppose that's what they're there for?
Please, yes, I know. That's just how he is.
That's just how he is. From Cristiola, everyone, have a nice evening. She's hosting the Candelaria. But I'm done. It was today. Today we lost him.
No, tomorrow. It's tomorrow, isn't it? February 2nd? Yeah, well, as far as I know, it's the 2nd. That's the day of the tamales. You're the one who has to bring them. You, everyone except me.
And here we are, several of us from Baja and California. So for sure, if we go to the cafe and I'll keep going, for sure, yes, there it is.
Look, you already have the first one. Spin and spin. Go ahead.
I mean, take a picture and send it, yes.
Share the info with the community.
You can also share it in the community. Remember that in the channel's community, you can share photos. If it's about what you're doing, your daily life, if you see something strange or whatever it is.
All right, good. Mercedes is there. We'll leave the link. But in this area where it says Pepe and Vivo community, you can post photos. Do you want to post the photo of the coffee and invite people there? Yes.
Post it, make your announcement, do your business, yes?
Yes, there it is. Look, there's the audience, and I say what I want to share. Only a few people have commented so far, because it's only been a few days since we found out this existed. This one. Look, there it is. There's the post, there's the link. You can put images there if there's any recent community post. No, I don't think so. The last one was, I think it was someone who was in a snowy area.
Oh.
This is about the golden potato, which I think was also yesterday. So look at what it says.
The date to see the photos?
If we're going to see the photos of
Ah, how beautiful, so beautiful, how nice. In North Carolina, where they have everything up north because they don't have the means to really show it off.
Hey, if they're not used to snow...
From what I saw, I heard a joke today. A United States comedian said he was in North Carolina and nobody would go outside. They didn't do anything because they don't have anything to remove the snow, says Pixel. Here, dictator Pinochet delivers a line fit for a dictator. I don't remember, but it's not true, and if it was, I don't remember. And they're putting it into practice right now?
But it's tremendous. Yes.
A Pantelita cyber cafe, we know exactly what we want to set up.
Yes, a cyber cafe.
But with the others. The idea was a bakery?
Psycho bakery. And we also brought a bit of that. The idea was that if it had a cinema theme, I don't know, that it would have a cinema theme. No, it's not very clear if they're going to show movies or what, but well, that was kind of the idea, right?
Yes, greetings. Let's see who greeted me, Poo Poo says. I visited Chile during the Pinochet era around the 80s, and I was amazed by Santiago. It looks like an American city. Even the cars they had, says Poo-Poo.
Greetings, Poo-Poo, says Mercedes. When you can, look for us on Facebook, just like at Cafe Check.
With a K and double, that's where they are, says Maria Gonzalez. Excuse me, have you seen the movie Australia? Personally, I don't like just one piece of news or talking about only one thing. It's horrible. Injustices make me really angry and I keep thinking about them. You dislike channels focused on just one topic.
About only one topic? Yeah, it's just that. I read
The movie Australia, it sounds familiar that they looked for me, but I think it's just
It's a way of handling things. Well, for me, it's more like manipulating a topic because they repeat it like 20 times from different angles. The same thing, they're saying the same thing, but from one angle or another.
Yes.
And just to have the traffic from Group X of people. It's not like that. There are many channels in Mexico and the United States. That's just how it is. Responsibility should mean discussing all topics, right? Otherwise, it's manipulation, as someone says.
Yes, we saw her and loved her era. There's Nicholas who doesn't...
No, yes.
Very pretty?
Yes. I mean, it's been a while.
She's 17 already.
She says, I didn't know he was 60. Who's 60?
Who's 60?
Who's 60, Roble? Who else?
He says? Luis Manuel says, Hi Pepe, how are you? Well, I've already seen the videos and believe me, I agree with Bad Money about the topic of exile.
Yes.
Greetings to Caravel. How are you, Caravel? He says today. They really have a strong northern accent. Haha, greetings.
Hi, how are you? Good.
Panterita says, or let's see, what business should I start? A good Panterita business, a good business. He says that's what you are. With the Epstein thing, I think it's crazy that they want to politicize it from one side to attack the other when both sides are very involved. Democrats, Republicans, left, right, every businessman knew Canyon was an assassin, so tell them what mistake they expect him to make. Trompetas, that it's going to lead him to a crisis? Well, there are many.
I think it'll be something simple, right? It'll probably end up being something like...
The one who puts...
Like the one who puts that thing about taxes for me and something like that, and that's going to be his way out.
The theory is that, well, the Democrats are going to go on polymarket. I think it's at about 70 or 80% that the Democrats are going to win the midterms, which are the midterm elections. And from there, the famous impeachment is going to happen. But no, that's it. To Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
No, it must go together or else it's the same, but not really.
But if you say it...
Greetings from the south of Nuevo Leon.
How has the south been as well? But you are in the south of Nuevo Leon.
If we go to the south of Monterrey...
We're talking about something big. Greetings.
How have you been, Vitamina? This is Marcos. How have you been? Sometimes he calls it a topic, which is what I say too. I understand that sometimes, for example, there are channels that do specialize, for example, in just one topic, but that's just one topic. Always.
Right, that coin, yes.
For example, I've noticed some channels focus solely on Ukraine, with Ukrainian hosts discussing only Ukrainian topics and news.
Well, yes.
Well, yes, because it makes sense. But suddenly there are news channels that, they talk about just one story until it's no longer trending. So, again, they end up saturating the topic by just talking about one and another. And on the other hand, a lot of things are happening and you're not talking about them. It's either not wanting to inform or just taking advantage of the moment and overdoing it, right? Yes, and that way you generate a lot of views for yourself, for the views, but you're not doing journalistic work. On the contrary, you're manipulating things there. And that happens a lot and it's constant. That's how the algorithm works, which is why they're comfortable with those topics. But he thinks it's unfortunate. Greetings from Seattle to El Zorro from Patty and Marco. Love you, thank you.
Greetings, Patty.
Marco.
Long live Tijuana, says El Zorro. Well, we have to go to the Cafe Zorro.
We have to go to the cafe over there,
says Navarro's dad. A joke for the grumpy ones. I went to the healer and she took everything I had, and you had 800 pesos. My friend had fallen. She fell while dancing bachata. Now then.
Well, yeah, she just hit herself.
Right now, she's really down. Greetings to Roberto, who says, good evening, friends. Greetings from Denver. Colorado hasn't had as much snow this year as in others. Roberto also said the AIS people are very strict in Colorado now.
Yeah, they're not messing around, so things are slow.
Alex says that here in Mexico City, the best coffee shops are the ones where people can sit for hours to gossip. Yeah, right.
Of course, those are the good ones.
Yeah, I mean, right now, it would look really bad if the waiter came over and rushed you, even though there aren't any bachata waiters anymore, but it would look bad if they kicked you out, right? This one says it has nothing to do with us. It says, Lorena? Yes, I rarely write, but I like to get information from this channel because it's serious, professional, and also it combines national and international news. Hello to Astrid, Pepe from Costa Rica, and Lorena. Thanks for your comment.
Lorena, for your comments, big greetings, very good.
Rubio says they want to go for it. I never expected to get this far.
Yes. Greetings, says Wyckoff. My grandfather is from Linares. Can you believe it? Greetings, Wyckoff. Have you visited from Linares? Well,
come on, guys. Remember that we are on Telegram and WhatsApp. That's where we send you the friends notifications. We're also on X, on Facebook, and Instagram.
Great greetings, says Paterita. There are some missing there. Yes, that's right. There are likes missing, thanks to the one who gave a like to the one who has given one.
Thanks so much, Dad, for helping us reach the goal.
It's our first time setting such a big goal. Take care. See you tomorrow. Even though it's a holiday in Mexico, we're still here bringing you the news.
Just like always.
It's just that Mercedes, excellent lords, so you have a great weekend. See you tomorrow.
We interrupt.
Your regular programming. Thank you for tuning in to The Truth. This is Pepe Live.
The truth is intense, the unusual is real. Here we analyze it, global focus. Don't miss out, connect to the Pepe Live channel, controlling the signal. Pepe and Astrid telling it like it is. Raw journalism, here it's respected. Activate the alert, don't lose track until next time. Yes, sir, we're taking attendance. Subscribe.